let's get started with video 2, lesson 5.4. We're jumping up to the next lesson, page 188, where we are going to apply what we learned to solve proportions using different methods. And our central question, what are the methods for solving proportions and which method is best? Well, really, you have to decide which method is best, but you should already know which methods we have because you've taken some notes from the top of page 188. So let's hash them real fast. The first one being the mental math method. The mental math method says, hey, this proportion is written using basic facts that I can see straightforward. I recognize that 5 times 4 is 20, so 8 times 4 would give me 32. So x equals 32. The mental math method is pretty dang darn quick. The multiplication property of equality method. We know the multiplication property of equality. We used it when we were solving equations back in Unit 3. Then when we multiply both sides of this equation by the same number. Well, a proportion is an equation. It just has 2 ratios that are equal. It looks like 2 fractions that are equal. And so we come over here and I multiply both sides by 6. And these 6's cancel out, giving me W. Well, 6 times 6 is 36 divided by 9 is 4. That quick. That is the multiplication property of equality. And then we have, of course, the star of the show, cross products. This is the go-to. It's the one you really want. It's the one you're going to use the most because not everything is going to be laid out so dang darn easy as it was in the first 2 methods. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you have a proportion, cross products are equal. We know cross products are equal. We know that because we talked about how to make a proportion using cross products to prove that they are a proportion. So when you write it now, it will form an equation that we can solve. So over here you have y times 4 and you get 4y is equal to 2 times 6, which gives you 12. Now I have a simple basic equation that I can solve using inverse operations and the division property of equality, and I get y equals 3. So cross products forms an equation that we can solve by making the 2 cross products equal in a proportion. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do some examples. Our first 2 examples are using the mental math method. So number 5, 7 is to 4 as y is to 28, and we recognize right away I can take 4 and multiply by 7 to get 28. So 7 times 4 is going to give me 49. Y equals 49. Now, I was writing all that down, but you certainly could have done that mentally in your head. Number 6, 12 is to x as 3 is to 1. Now, of course, mental, you can do it either way. You can multiply or divide. I know that 12 divided by 4 is 3. I also know going the other way with my fact family, 3 times 4 is 12. So I look, what number x divided by 4 is 1? Well, 4 divided by 4 is 1. So x equals 4. I also know if I went the other way, 4 times 1 would be 4. So the mental math method works real easy when all you have is basic math, or excuse me, basic facts in your proportion. Let's use the multiplication property, that's not in there, we should write it in there. Property of equality. Somehow I left that off. Equality. The multiplication property of equality. And in number 7, c is to 12 as 5 is to 3. And so I'm going to multiply, multiplication property of equality, I'm going to multiply both sides by the same number. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 12. Oops, I need to write 12. Times 12 on both sides. And they cancel out on the first side, leaving me c. And then 3 goes into 12. I can simplify that out before I multiply as 4. And 5 times 4 is 20. Bingo. Ladies and gentlemen, I made a mistake. This is not the example that I want you to have on there. So if you could, just scratch this example number 8 out and please write this example. The example I want you to write is 12 is to 10 as a is to 15. That's the example I want you to write. Sorry about that. You're going to find that using the multiplication property of equality, it really only works best when the unknown value is in the top of the ratios, either one of the tops. So when I wrote this first one, I would have had to go through some other rigmarole to show you how to do it, and it just doesn't work as well with the multiplication property of equality. So in this particular case, it does, and we are going to multiply both sides by 15, and that simplifies out on that side. You recognize we're going to multiply the sides that by the denominator that's under the unknown value. So A equals, well, I can simplify this 10, this 15 and this 10. I can go, 2 goes there, 5 goes in there 2 times, and 5 goes in here 3 times, and then 2 goes into 12 6 times, and 3 times 6 is 18. Multiplication property of equality, ladies and gentlemen. So now let's get to the bread and butter. The bread and butter being cross products. This is the one we really want to go to. Cross products. And you might see that some of these you could use mental math or multiplication property of equality, but we are going to practice our cross products. So in cross products, we form an equation that is a simple equation that we can solve unless our proportions are a little bit more complex. So let's just get right to it. Cross products. I draw my cross products in this way to show my equation. So in the first one, when you have 50 times 98, well, 50 times 98 is 4,900. Okay? You don't have to write 50 times 98. If you show me your work right here with this cross product symbol that becomes an X, I will accept that as showing your work. And of course, 14 times W is 14W. And then of course, to do the inverse operation, we would divide by 14. Keep the equation balanced using the property of equality for division. I would divide both sides by 14. And when you use your calculator, W is 350. Any questions? Make sure if you do, you write them down so you can ask me in class tomorrow. Let's go to our next example. Our next example, 24 is to F as 15 is to 36. Doing our cross products, we have 15 times F, which is 15F, and we have 24 times 36, which is 864. And then, of course, properties of equality for division and inverse operations, dividing both sides by 15 would give us 57.6. Voila. Yes, you can have a decimal in your ratio for your proportion. Doesn't have to be a whole number. Moving right along to a couple other examples. Right away, we're just going to keep going using our cross products. We have n times 22, which is 22n, and then we have 52 times 121, which is 6,292. We know those are equal. Cross products are equal. Forms an equation. Inverse operations, divide by 22. Keep the equation balanced using properties of equality. Divide both sides by 22, and you get that n is 286. Going quickly, cross products is the way to go. And our last example on this one, before our quick write, it says 2 is to 34 as 5 is to y. So we do our cross products here, and we get 5 times 34, which is 120. And we get 2 times y, which is 2y. Oh wait, not one, that's 170, my bad, 170. Woo! I was writing that down and I was confused there a little bit because I didn't think it was right. Anyway, we got 170. So when we divide by 2, we would get y is equal to 85. Y is equal to 85. Ladies and gentlemen, cross products is the way to go. Of the 3 methods, mental math, the multiplication property of equality, and cross products, however, all do work in their place. Ladies and gentlemen, our second quick write 2b. Here is your proportion that I want you to solve, and I don't care which method you use. All I want you to do is, after whichever method you do use, please write down the method and then explain, well, why did you choose that method with this proportion? And then take another quick break and come back for our last video, number 3 tonight.